First of all, eco oil needs to overcome these problems and challenges in order to achieve their mission and to have a potential growth in the global market. First, the private and commercial cars, which has carbon dioxide emissions. Also, the huge investment they will need and it's required for the production facilities. Furthermore, the location dependence and how to optimize the residue substances, translating as biomass and how to have large quantities of it. Indeed, the core value proposition is the container size factory, which transforms the residual substances of the biomass into CO2 neutral gasoline, and also the mobile unit, which also helps to have economies of large scale, low investment cost, location free, and no modification needed on the car engine. In the ownership specific advantages, they need to focus on the monopolistic advantage eco oil has, such as their unique technological abilities and the patent technology in the chemical process. This makes it a competitive advantage because it's valuable, it's very unique, and it's difficult to imitate.
Hello everyone, my name is Riho and I'm going to talk about the aspects where eco-oil should rely on partners, allies and suppliers. I think the most important thing to get or to do together with the partners is the transportation of the biomass and the eco-oil itself with the specific containers, because bigger companies like for an example Neste have the required logistics system and a lot of resources to modify the containers. They could also be their financing or investment company. They would give them the shares for it. Partners, allies and even suppliers could also help eco-oil with collecting biomass and residue substances. That's how they will get a lot more biomass to produce eco-oil. It would also be great to partner up with a bank or some other financial company who will handle the leasing part of the business, because they will probably know the terms and conditions better of that. And lastly, a partnership with raw material producers would be great, because then the Swedish company will probably get better prices and quantities for the materials.
In the global integration and local responsiveness framework, the firm needs to focus on the transnational strategy. This means it involves a high global integration and high pressure for local responsiveness. The aim is to maximize the local responsiveness but also gain benefits from local integration. They also can focus on the efficiency of the economies of scale thanks to their mobile unit, which fits a standard 40-feet shipping container. This size and container is considered a competitive advantage and in contrast to the chemical production facilities.
Nextly, I'll go over the specific locational advantages for eco-oil to start exporting their produce to. I think in general, most of the bigger cities would be a great idea, because most of them have a big problem with high pollution. Eco-oil will help them to lower it. Country-wise, firstly Sweden and Finland would be a great idea because of the location, which makes the transportation costs low. And both of these countries have a lot of countrysides as well, where typical gas stations are often far away. Thanks to eco-oil's mobility, they could put more stations to less habitated areas. Secondly, China and India are great options because of the population of the countries, which gives the company a big market size. And secondly, both India and China have a big problem with pollution. Eco-oil would also help them to lower it. Then there is USA. USA is a great place to export because of the open-mindedness of customers, which makes it easier to test the oil. And thanks to USA's large population, they will also have a big market as well. And lastly, Brazil. Brazil is the second biggest fuel producer in the world, which means they also have a huge market and they could produce eco-oil themselves over there as well. Thanks to that, the transportation costs will be quite small.
Customer segments are divided to industries, like forest industries in Sweden and Finland, agriculture, sugarcane plants in Brazil and Cuba, vineyards in France, Italy and Spain. And states and cities are collecting PO-waste from households, and private-owned companies like PO-waste and residue substance from different companies. Channels for this case would be campaigns, word to mouth, national television, gas stations, banner advertisements, display, content and video marketing as social media, sending emails to certain factories, and also taking part in certain events, such as Greener Future, for an example.
In the revenue model, we propose to have a leasing model which consists of 3 to 5 years of leasing deal, which includes also the maintenance they need in the process, also the partnering and ecosystem, giving shares to sell and other gasoline companies that already have their logistics to deliver the gasoline to gas stations. Also in Finland, using industrial companies, bakeries, and using wastes to make ethanol in those factories. Also partnering with container companies and the financial companies who handle the leasing part, such as banks. And finally, the service model, partnering with raw material producers.
The cost structure would mostly consist of variable running costs like sales and marketing of a product, and on the beginning those costs will be high but very crucial to break through the market. Employer part and also research and development has an important role of the starting costs. Localization cost has to be taken into account whenever we're working under different countries and their laws. Therefore, would be recommendable to develop EcoOil's own organization, and we could minimize the cost of localization. One of the main sunk costs, therefore, would be the production of the containers. The guaranteed lifetime is 5 years, and it takes approximately 1 million euros per container, also by taking the technology into an account. For the financing, we have a simple solution, which would be optimal for at least these first 5 years, and it is leasing the most of cost structure parts, like services, production, machines, and the transportation of raw materials, and the final product. Therefore, we can optimize a fixed financing rate and allow to claim depreciation tax credit in the equipment and the interest expense according to leasing. In 5 years, the revenue stream becoming bigger than cost, there is the possibility to purchase the equipment at the end of the finance lease. In addition, a way to finance is to sell shares to companies which already has the logistics to deliver the final product to the distributors. These companies would be Neste and Shell in the euro area, and when revenue stream being profitable, there would be a gain in value for shareholders in 5 years. EcoOil will produce monetary value for its shareholders and creditors because it holds value in the company by owning various tangible and intangible assets like patent, reputation on the market, and the knowledge it holds on the company. Building strong relationships with contractors, suppliers, and customers is essential to deliver new projects and running the operations. This approach, combined with global purchasing power, helps to gain competitive advantage, working with contractors and suppliers who contribute to sustainable development and are economically, environmentally, and socially responsible. For society, sharing the benefits of its projects and operations, it will create jobs and helps local businesses and economies to develop. Market niches which are the most optimal are the material production, where EcoOil can contribute, taking over the raw material production and buying large quantities of the biowaste and mass-produce the materials. Also, by cooperating with large companies, transportation and distributors, EcoOil gains competitive advantage. By having patent and the technology, they can lower costs and raise production levels, and by that EcoOil can access more capital.